Here we are making a brief video to demonstrate what we were talking about the other day insofar as an equatorially mounted telescope, whether it's fork mounted on an equatorial wedge or, as you see in this case, a German equatorial mount. Now I've oriented the camera as I typically do, well always, with the head of the camera pointing north, and you can see it's aligned to the left and where the polar axis would point. So then I'm going to rotate this. I'm going to pause. Okay, now I'm rotating By the way, I'm using a handy joystick controller, so those of you that have asked, that is possible. So I'm going to rotate the telescope so that the counterweight shaft is level. What that'll do is that'll have me pointing at the meridian. That's close enough, I think you get the idea. Now, I had earlier when I started to do this rotation, I inadvertently hit the declination. So I'm going to put this back to declination 0, pointing at the celestial equator. There. Okay. And this is, again, my typical orientation of the camera. Now this would be for portrait mode. If I wanted to shoot in, I'm sorry, this is landscape mode. If I wanted to shoot in portrait mode, which would be holding the camera vertically, I would just rotate the camera 90 degrees. But in either case, either the base of the camera or the side of the camera would be level with the ground in this position. Now I can continue on towards the west to a degree, and you see how the orientation of the camera changes. Now I'm going to do a meridian flip, come back around and point west, and you'll see what happens there. By the way, you may notice how quiet this mount is, mainly because the gears have been worn in since I've had this mount now for a couple years, or almost a couple years. I'm going to pause again. Since I've flipped the mount around to where now the telescope is on the east side. Sorry I don't have longer arms. In order to point west, I have to flip the telescope around. And what that'll do is that'll put the camera upside down compared to its ordinary position. But then what one would do in that case is either take the resulting images and rotate them in software 180 degrees or flip the camera around. I'd prefer using software and keeping the camera in this orientation so that I preserve its alignment with the sky, since most of my shooting is done pointing east. I'm going to pause again and go back. This is just to give you more perspective. Now, I'm coming up on pointing due north, the polar position. This would be the parked position. Let me come around and check that. You see my mark indicating when the shaft is pointing straight down, close enough for our purposes, because then what would happen is when I go to start imaging, There. I would register the camera by taking a picture of the night sky and then doing an image link, aka a plate solve. But again, I mean, ordinarily you've seen cameras mounted where in this position it was level with the ground, the base of the camera, but then when you rotate it and look up at the sky, that would put it in portrait mode. I prefer, for the most part, to use landscape mode on most of the objects I image. Okay, I hope this was helpful. I'll have to work on this a little and possibly buy a GoPro. Thanks. Talk to you soon. Bye now.